Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order.
The only issue is we
Do not have a
don't have a
quorum.
quorum.
That is correct.
So I'll
Thankfully,
take notes. We just can't vote on things.
Perfect. And thankfully, we have a light agenda this evening anyway, with no votes required. So if you'd like, I can share the agenda, folks. And Chris, you have the roll call taken care of, correct?
Yes. Yep, I have that.
Thank you. All right. Bear with me 1 second while I get this open. Oh, I'm requesting the ability to share.
And allow.
Thank you.
And this is starting to go smoothly, huh?
We'll get there. We will get there.
That's good.
Is it actually? There it goes. Okay. All right. So with may I have somebody move to approve the May 2025? Oh, sorry, I'm skipping over public audience. Let's begin with public audience. Do you have anyone that would like to be recognized for comments during the public audience section?
I could mention briefly that I'm not sure if I see everybody that's on, but last night was the Spring into Summer event of Sustainable CT. And I was there, and Jen was there as well. And it was a really inspiring evening. It was somewhat daunting because you listen to these towns that have been achieving, all these achievements, including climate leader and gold. But invariably, it's a lot of town staff involved. But it's really inspiring hearing all the things these towns are doing. So it's a really good event. Lots of tables with information. It's an annual event, so I know even if we're not like super active in sustainable CT, I would encourage folks to avail themselves. Get on their mailing list and avail themselves of some of the resources they have.
Good. That's interesting.
Thank you, Martha. It's an excellent recommendation. Anyone else that would like to be recognized for public comment? Okay, then may I have...
I don't know if I can ask for public audience, but Mark, do you want to give any overview of what happened in Hartford last night?
Oh, sure. You want to do it now, or you want to do an open forum later? Or?
Potentially hold for open forum?
That's a good idea.
Okay, yeah. Great. Then may I have a motion to approve the May 2025 meeting minutes as submitted? Or is there any question or edits required?
I'll make a motion to approve the May 2025 minutes.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Excellent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Excellent. Thank you. Okay. So then moving into the next section, do we have any updates from our ex officio board members?
I have an update on planning.
Excellent, Holly. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Okay. So in our May 13th meeting, we made a positive referral for an amendment to the Simsbury zoning text to, let's see, I have it right in front of me. It was application ZC number 25-08, and it was for a text amendment to the town zoning regulations section 10 and section 17 to incorporate state-enabled electric vehicle charging station infrastructure requirements for projects exceeding including and exceeding 30 cars or 30 parking spaces. It's a requirement that new construction has the infrastructure in place. They do not have to have the charging stations installed, but the ability for someone to install such a station. So we gave that positive referral on May 13th. And then just this week on, I believe, June 2nd, the zoning commission approved it. And that was one of the action items on the POCD. I don't know if it shows up on the, but anyway, so that's one of our action items that is done. And what I'd like to do sometime is meet with Jamie offline to just review where we stand and make sure we have the an official dispensation of all the various calls to action in the POCD. The Sustainability Committee exceeds all of the requirements, but I don't think we're getting credit for everything we've done. So I'd like to someday review that with you, Jamie, just to update and make sure the report reflects everything we've done.
That sounds great, Holly. I'd love to make sure that, yes, all of those dots are connected. So if you would like to offline share your availability over the next several weeks, I know it's a busy time of year, but I'll do my best to make it work.
Okay, we'll find something. Oh, and
Awesome.
I have one request. During the deliberation, one of the committee commissioners asked the town staff if we knew what % of cars in town are electric vehicles. And I said, well, the next time we have a sustainability committee, I'll ask. I'm sure someone knows. I'm looking at you, Mark, thinking you know that. Is that a number we have? Or a percent? Or a guesstimate?
It's in Mark's sustainability plan.
That's what I was going to say. I was trying to pull up the grid, but I don't know if it'll
I
disrupt what I'm sharing.
apologize. I didn't know.
I can guess it looks like about 3.5%
Okay.
versus 2.5% for the state as of the end of 2024.
Okay, that's good. I'll just report that back. It didn't really substantially change it, except that we, in our referral, we asked the zoning commission to consider that, and they did and gave it and passed the amendment.
Can you send us that amendment? That'd be really interesting to look at how that works.
Okay, let me make that as another action item. Yes, I don't have it on me because a lot of stuff piles up, but maybe I can find it in my deleted folder.
Well, actually, it must be
Was that in yesterday's email?
The one
Was
that
that
came from that came from,
Yeah.
I believe there was I believe that is the same amendment. Yes.
Here, it's I don't know where it is.
It's probably in the zoning committee minutes.
Right,
Well.
it would be in their.
All right, thanks.
But I'll go look for it and send it to you separately, Mark.
Thanks. And then, Chris, I'll defer to you from an official record keeping perspective, but if we would potentially hyperlink that, given this conversation in these meeting minutes, just for ease of reference, or if you feel like that's not appropriate, I'll defer to you. And
No, it's fine.
Okay, great. Thank you. Excellent. Well, Holly, any other updates from planning?
Oh, excuse me. No.
I asked you just as your mouth was full. Sorry.
That's most of our business ends up being dealing with other matters. So, for example, one of the things that we've spent the last year and a half working on is a TerraFill Center plan, which I don't have on me, and we're working through the final draft of that. And it's a really great document for working together with all the wonderful people in TerraFill to put together a future vision of things to make life, to enhance economic prospects and traffic and areas of focus in town. It's quite a nice document. So that's what we spend a lot of time doing. We seldom actually have some good sustainability news to mention. So I was happy about that chance today.
Excellent. Thank you. And I'm sure there are many elements of sustainability that are being considered in the Tarryville plan. So,
Oh, yes, quite a bit. In fact, natural resources is probably the biggest emphasis we put on in that plan for a number of reasons, for utilizing the natural resources, education, leisure activities, and the economic focus for that matter.
excellent. Thank you. Any other committee updates from our ex officio members?
Just from the Board of Ed, school is wrapping up, as some of you know who have children in the district, and graduation will be on Wednesday night at the Meadows. So let's keep our fingers crossed for good weather as we're sitting out there, and look forward to that. So that's where we are. So it's been a busy couple of weeks, and last night I participated in or 2 nights ago in the award ceremony. So that was always, great for the seniors getting awards and scholarships. So that's it. So we're concluding another year. It's gone by very, very fast. And before you know it, we'll be commencing another year in 2 months.
Stop. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for that.
I can go, Jamie.
Excellent. Thank you, Joe.
For the recycling committee. So on Saturday, I know I'm working at the swap shop, weather permitting, on Saturday. And also, I think on Saturday is the hazardous waste collection. Isn't that right, Chris?
Yes, June 7th.
Yeah. So that's happening too. And I had one page that I wanted to show the group. Would I be able to share my screen?
Sure. How does that work? I think you have to request sharing.
Then I probably have to stop.
There it is.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Just one site. I don't know if everyone knows about it. I just I forget how I stumbled across it, but is this the bids and RFP site for the town? And we all hear a lot about different projects going on in town, whether they're public or private. But here, all the public ones, this is a huge page, and it goes, these are all, detailed, RFPs and RFIs and, different discussions about, these bids that are out there or responded to. And I was drawn here because, I was looking for municipal solid waste statistics. So I pulled up, there's this RFP here in regards to the transfer station. And it actually has stats in it about some of the recyclables and, tons received in a particular quarter of various things. And it talks about the, relationship we have with third parties who, may take mattresses or the electronics, as you can see here, electronics, Take-Two Incorporated in Waterbury. So I don't know, there's a ton of information in just this, one document here. So, if you're ever grasping for information about town projects, there's a lot to be had in this website. So I think you find it, you go into government and then finance is where you find it.
So when I'm not spending all my time on the sustainability committee, that's what I'm drafting. Many of the newer ones are RFPs invitations to bid that I drafted.
Oh, nice.
So
Well,
that's
there's,
sort of what I'm doing here is managing contracts and getting quotes and managing projects and things like that. So,
but there's
happy you
so
pointed
much
this out.
information. There's so much information in them, Chris. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And the
Um,
data that you showed for the bulky waste station,
yeah.
so the operator of the station, which is now USA, is contractually obligated to provide that data to us because we have to provide it to the state.
Okay.
And then I included that in the RFP so that whoever was bidding on the opportunity could see what the volumes were like.
Sure. Yeah.
It's either trending over time. So,
But it's also great just to see who the third parties are that,
yeah. Yep.
that we work with. So, I mean, I just stumbled across this and just looked at it briefly, and I found all kinds of stuff. And,
Yeah, that one's a big one. I think it was like 200 pages.
yeah. Yeah. So, that's all I had, though. So I'll stop sharing here.
It's interesting. It's really good information.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Useful resource. And thank you, Chris, for the work on all of those.
That's great.
I know that's not easy.
So, Chris, what are some of the big projects then? I saw Eno was there.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Eno is getting a front entry or side entry facelift and reconstruction. There's a HVAC project going on in Eno. There's an HVAC project going on that I just put up for town hall. That's actively bidding. I just closed out a sidewalk ramp project bid that's about to start construction. We redid the pickleball courts in Terraville. We bid out the bulky waste facility this year. There's lots of stuff in there.
But I as a side question, I know the town's going to be working on, the Onion Mountain, that Stoddard Dam, old
yes, that's in there as well. Yep.
And I wanted to, find out, what's really going on with that. And geez, I found the plans and everything for it. Yeah. You can get a good feel for what's going on.
We're about to award a contract to a subcontractor to build the Performing Arts Center expansion.
Right.
So that's a big project. That's a $2.5 million project that's going to kick off here in a few months. Great. So, yeah, there's a lot going on.
That's exciting. That will be very exciting there.
Yep.
Very exciting. All right. Well, thank you again for that information, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I believe we can move into our planned, ongoing, and potential activities. And I'd love to hear a recap. I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit, Baird. Recap of our sustainability fair, if you're prepared to share maybe some of the highlights, the attendance. I want to thank everybody first and foremost for all the effort that went into it. It was such a successful day, and I know that it couldn't have been possible without the work of literally everybody on this call.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I just want to thank everyone here, huge contributions from everyone. And of course, the library staff was amazing in terms of providing resources and staff and energy and creativity. So that was good. As compared to what we did last year, we had about the same number of contractors come in, for-profit contractors, and about the same number of not-for-profit groups. There were some differences, some changes, some in, some out, but overall it was about the same number. The biggest changes were in having more activities for kids. Had a whole room for different kids' activities throughout the day, some kids' activities outside, a lot of them organized by the Avon Clean Energy Commission. They did a great job along with the library. And our tally, according to the library, was about 900 people there. which was very good. Not quite as good as last year, but very good. We were competing against several other activities on that same day with um, Chris and company organizing a cleanup in the morning, and then the Historical Society having an activity at the same time. So it was a busy day here in Simsbury. But overall, I thought that the kids' activities were very positive. I thought that the kids from Ethel Walker who came played a big role in just helping out. And I don't know. Overall, I thought it was amazing, energetic day. One complaint I heard was that we should probably have a second food truck because they ran out of some food because people bought stuff. So that's on the agenda for next year. But yeah, I mean, I'd love your perspectives on what you saw and in talking to people.
It's become their largest single day event for the library.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
I only heard positive from vendors and from those attending that it was thank God the weather was great. That does help. But I only heard positive from everyone coming. So it really, turned out well.
I can definitely see the value in adding a second food vendor. That does make a lot of sense. If nothing else, it just takes the pressure off of the one. I know they're very popular and they'll still be a big draw, but I think that's great feedback, and we can find someone else that's, similar in dedication, organic. It doesn't necessarily have to be vegan as G Monkey is, but I do think that that's totally fair.
Yeah, I think some things that didn't come out of it that I would have hoped for. Obviously, the raffle was very popular, and thanks to everybody who helped to organize that. I think fewer people participated in the survey than we would have hoped for. I forget the exact number, but it was a relatively low number given the number of people who participated in the event. Susan, you may have gotten more survey results than we did, but basically having people do the QR code and scan into the survey didn't attract a lot of people, and I don't know how to do that better. We certainly thought we made it abundantly easy to do, but obviously it was not a big draw for a lot of people. So if anyone has ideas about that.
Well, I do think there was a lot of people who weren't necessarily from Simsbury who came, this is, having now done this 2 years, I find that the pleasant surprise that we did have a lot of folks from Avon, Granby, et cetera. So, and that survey was very specifically for Simsbury residents. But you're right. I know there were folks who might have politely taken the QR code, but didn't intend to fill it out.
I'd like to make a suggestion. One thing I noticed, because I tend to work the front desk, when people are coming in, is that there are a number of things grabbing their eyes all at once. And a lot of them have little children in tow. So they want to sign up for the raffle. They want to sign up for something else. We had 3 different things for them to fill out. And I suggest that we get their email address when they sign up for just one thing, and it enters them into everything, a raffle. And then we send them the survey and ask them at the beginning of the survey, are you a resident or not? And, it's for residents. But I think that would work if it were more automatic. I think, the kids are grabbing them. And of course, there's so much interesting to see over at the recycling center that kids gravitate over there. And so that would be my suggestion. One easy sign up, name, email, and then they're registered for everything.
Yeah, nice suggestion. Thank you.
Any other observations about still relatively fresh in folks' minds? Any feedback from any of the vendors that we helped sign up, or that, folks who were leading the contact with the vendors? Any feedback directly from the vendors?
I happened to run it at this event, this Sustainable CT. I ran into Blue Earth, Sam King from Blue Earth, and to Devin from Eversource, and they were all very happy with the
That's
event.
great. Thank you.
Good.
Okay. So I assume we are going to hold our third annual fair, first Saturday in May again next year. Unless we hear anything different for any reasons. Should we potentially be working with the Historical Society? Because I feel like we've had something on the same day twice. I know, Lydia, you're a nice go-between here potentially, but.
Yeah, because I know it's because this is the second year in a row that it just happened to fall on that same date. So I can talk to Jane McAlpine, the director of the Historical Society, because I'm involved with them also. And since I can't be at two places at the same time, but and see what their what their thoughts are, for something, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the only bad day in May is because that's Saturday before Mother's Day. So for some that's fine, some it's not, but it's all depending also on library staff, because I don't know what else library has going on in May, or Historical Society, but I think it's, if we can coordinate that, it might help.
Sense.
And just as far as planning, we owe the library a meeting. We had set a meeting, and then Mark was going to be away and Susan Van Cleef was going to be away. And so anyway, we haven't sat down with the library staff to kind of evaluate and talk about future plans.
Okay, great. I think the one other thing I'd love for us to just put in the back of our heads for right now, we don't have to work on it right now, but I know this year the speaker series went maybe a bit better. I don't know by sheer numbers if more people attended the talks this year with them out on the lawn than they did in the prior year with the speakers in the satellite rooms. But I know that it did get a little challenging with road noise or other conversations from other tents, and also the sun and the angles of the sun and such. And so some people didn't want to just sit because there wasn't necessarily sufficient shade for all the chairs. So we might not have the perfect solution yet, but let's definitely try to think through what that solution is for the speaker series. I thought it was so cool. I mean, the reptiles, the bees, the tricks for the garden and the compost and such. And it's really robust information. I want to make sure that we're finding a way for both the speakers and the audience to make the most of it. And Mark, I do see your hand. Thank you.
So is it decided we're going to do the fair next year? Because if we want, I can try to, I'm always too late booking this Energize CT energy van thing. We had it at 1 year at the, the spectacular, whatever it was, the celebration, spectacular celebration. But I can try to book it if we want.
I mean, Baird, I would defer to you. Do we need to confirm things with the library first?
I think we need to sit down with them. So Joe and Mark and Susan and I should sit down with them and I think we need to debrief and see how they felt about the event. And there are partners in it, and I think
exactly, it's a co-host.
We need to make a decision with our partners.
Of course, and that once then, I guess we have that information. Then, Mark, I love the idea of getting ahead of booking some of these harder to get vendors to show. And actually, when you did say partner in the event, that reminded me one thing that we had mentioned, Lydia. I know we talked about this as potentially having a school as a partner, because we did have Ethel Walker come and they had a booth, and we did have some volunteers from Avon, from Simsbury, from Baird's group here at Simsbury High, but actually bringing a school, the school system. I'm not sure exactly what makes the most sense, so we can work through it, but like how to have the schools become an official partner, which will then also help us with the marketing of the event, because then it can go in the parent newsletters each week and things like that.
Absolutely. That's an important point. So just to increase the number and increase the visibility and interest, of parents and families, attending, because obviously they don't know about it or may not know about it, unless they see, the banner across the road or what have you. But that's a really good point.
And then there could be some really fun projects or displays or something that come out of it from the students, and they could start to feel a little bit of ownership, and it can become a bit more of that, no pun intended, ecosystem that we're trying to develop.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great. All right. Anything else on the fair before we move on?
Could I just
Oh, yes, Susan.
Yeah. We did a survey, and we wanted it to be useful, in maybe raising the awareness of the Board of Selectmen people, that we have many people in town that are concerned about the climate. And it's, it can be supported by statistics from the Yale Center that it's like 72% of people, adults in the Hartford area. Sometimes, they're not aware of that maybe, but I wanted to see if that was something that will be helpful, and how it might be helpful and how we might be able to do it better. I don't know. Anyway.
Thank you. And thank you also for asking the question. So did you want to maybe share a bit of what you shared with me offline to the group of how you would conduct? There was like a survey at the booth.
Oh yeah, there's something called the Six Americans survey that was developed by the Yale Center, and it people self-identify from being unconcerned to being alarmed. There's like places in between, and when we showed this to people that walked up, they were asked to identify where they were, and they would choose. And if they chose either concerned or alarmed, we asked if they would be willing to give their name and their zip code so we could identify where they were. And we got like 3 sheets of names. There were people from, like Broadbrook. There were people from all over. And from that, there were still like over 50 people from Simsbury and Terrafil and Weetag, and I thought, this is not an insignificant number considering that we were only there for a few hours, So I just, I thought, well, now what to do with it? I'm using it, I actually am using it on the state level. We brought letters to the legislative office building on Monday, to the especially the Republican legislators, But we wanted to also be on the town level because that's where we live, and so I figured I shouldn't just do this without consulting the sustainability committee. I think I want to have a good outcome from this.
And definitely appreciate that. Mark, I see your hand up. I do have thoughts on what Susan shared, but I'd love to hear.
What you go ahead. Could you may just cover what
we may be twinning. We'll see if we're twinning. So my thought immediately had been, as this committee is aware, we are in the process of finalizing our sustainability plan, which will ultimately be presented to the Board of Selectmen. And that's where I feel like, this sort of reference material, whether it's part of an appendix to the plan or somehow cited within the plan, it would definitely be a compelling data point. Of course, this was a sustainability fair. You could argue there's some self-selection happening, but I think even your note, Susan, on how broad the zip codes were of the folks who took time out of their day to come to Simsbury, to come to the library, to come to a Simsbury Sustainability Fair, says something right from there. So that's my first thought on how to best gain visibility for something like this at that board level. Mark, was that where your head was going, or do you have a completely different thought?
Well, everything you said, and Susan, that little speech, I think you should give that at public audience at a Board of Selectmen meeting. And
there
say,
is that also,
Susan
yes.
Olson, I lead Citizens Climate Lobby in Simsbury, and we did a survey at the Sustainability Fair. These are the results. I've got a copy here and I'm going to give it to the Sustainability Committee. That would be wonderful input from a private citizen of real data. People out there are concerned. Many are alarmed. And we tape? You should go back and just write down everything you just said and repeat it.
Yep, there will be a recording.
Oh, that's right.
I agree with both Jamie and Mark. Susan, I think that's a good avenue to present before them at a meeting to get their attention, because I know they don't really know the in-depth of what you're talking about, but it gives them a little preview of what you do and been working on, and somehow it's integral to what we do as the sustainability committee. So I think it's important that it just gets on their radar, because if it doesn't, they're not going to know. And at least, and they may have some questions about it, but at least to give them, an opening of something or introduction to what this is, because this is an important matter. And it's here we are in June and summer before you know it. It's going to be, the end of a year and starting another year again. But I think that's a real great idea to do that. So to get ahead and front and center of it. And if they have questions, so be it. Hopefully they will, and ask some questions regarding the work, and how does it affect us as residents in Simsbury? How does it affect those that came? And if you can bring some other Simsbury residents that are involved with it, do so. Bring them, have them come. They need to see residents. They need to see the numbers. They need to see that people are there before them in public audience about something, and bring your data, bring your statistics, and bring your data, and say, hey, what, this is real data, real thing, information that we were able to accrue at the recent, sustainability fair or before, or what have you.
Are you thinking of this happening before the end of the year, or?
You'd have to look at your schedule, but you have to get on there. Whichever works best for you. You've got to, call for Selectman's office and get on their agenda and do that. But I think if you can have others that are there with you, we'll be there with you, some of us, but others too that that are involved, then that's great. The more in mass that you're there, the more of a showing that you have, the more that they pay attention to. Okay. Because you're just presenting information. That's it. It's just a presentation of real data, real information, real numbers, quantifiable that you have. And that's important. And it's just the beginning of something. So.
And Lydia, I don't know if you were referring to actually getting on the board agenda. I was thinking just go to public audience.
Just in public audience, exactly.
Yeah, public audience, yes.
You can just show up to public audience. You
can do that. It's a public audience. I am jumping ahead of myself.
If you're going to Zoom, I think you have to sign up, right? But I think if you show up.
If you Zoom, but I think if you show up at public audience in person,
exactly. You just sign your name in, and then you speak when it's
and that's it, and then do that. I'm sorry, I'm ahead of myself, but anyway.
And if you're going to do that, Susan, let us know.
Yeah, because we'll be there to support you.
Right.
I'm sorry, Susan.
Questions and think later on. So you never know where this may go. So.
And I think you get 5 minutes for that. So prepare accordingly.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
5 minutes.
Yeah, but that's it. Yeah. But that's good. A lot of data, figures, numbers, real time, and the thing is you want to, what you're explaining to them to get at home is that how does it affect me as a resident of Simsbury? What's in it for me, or what's not in it for me, or how is this impeding my life as a resident here in town? That kind of thing. Bring it home to as a resident of Simsbury, so that they hear that too, because they're also residents. So,
okay, thank you.
With the bad and the ugly.
Okay.
And if you have any further questions about that, feel free to reach out to me and or Mark offline, as Mark definitely has made many a public comment on behalf of things related to this committee. So thank you so much for that. Anything else related to the fair before we move on? No? Okay, great. So the next topic in our ongoing programs is our waste sort of working group, the waste working group. And Very excited to share. Again, I don't want to put you on the spot, Bear, but I don't want to steal your thunder. So do you want to share the really good news with folks about the grant application? And again, it's in progress, but Bear, did you want to bring folks up to date on that application progress?
Jen, Jamie, and I have worked over the last couple of weeks to put together a proposal to just get more recycling materials and liquid dispensers for Squadron Line and for the high school. And so we're hoping at the high school to expand our recycling program. And Squadron Line is going to start recycling in the cafeteria in the fall, which is great. And we're hoping that the other schools in the school district pick up recycling and get in line with state law on recycling, because currently they're not. And so hopefully we can get there and we can inspire with good models at the two schools.
Yeah. So once again, this is a grant through the Carton Council that we are applying for to be able to fund these sort of waste bins where you can dispose liquids for your juice or your milk boxes. We go through tens of thousands of them in the cafeteria and in the elementary schools, like tens and tens of thousands of them. And at the moment, a lot of that's ending up in the trash versus in carton recycling because of the liquids.
I think the statistics that Jen came up with, that the high school goes through 70,000 juice and milk cartons per year, and Squadron Line goes through 47,000. So we're trying to capture some part of that and recycle it.
So, Baird, you officially hit submit on that application today, right?
Officially did.
Excellent.
It's due tomorrow, so it was good to get in today.
So
by that, by 7 schools.
Exactly.
All 7
and so
schools. What's the number? Yeah, absolutely.
It's massive. It's a massive impact. And in the process of engaging, so Squadron Line is folks who've heard this conversation before. Remember, Squadron Line is the elementary school, which is willing to partner with the high school on this. In the process of going through conversations with the superintendent's office and nutrition services director and Squadron Line, it actually, has become clear that this could be a pilot, as Baird was saying, for the whole district. And in fact, I believe the nutrition services team has also started seeking grant funds in the hopes that this will prove successful and that they can then roll it out even further. So that's really, we're hoping for success. We're planning for success here. And I believe we find out, is it June 30th? We'll find out if this is granted to us there. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So hopefully by our July meeting, we will know.
Yeah.
Once they're collected, who gets them?
Oh, that's a great question. So that's a second part of the news, which is kind of interesting. So we had our green team meeting early this week at the high school. And what we discussed was partnering with Clink. Clink actually partners with schools. And so I think we would create bins that had Clink bags in them with some Clink, logos on the outside. So part of the goal would be for all the bottles and cans that are actually redeemable, that we would help to fund the school, or at least school projects. And it's probably, I don't know, a couple $100 a week in cans and bottles. You can't believe how many Gatorades and water bottles and stuff. But so we're going to try and turn that the redeemable stuff into cash for the school. Schools always need cash, and the rest goes into general recycling that goes to our recycling center.
So Joe, for the cartons that we were mentioning, the juice and milk cartons, those largely would go into the existing recycling bins, the recycling dumpsters. But yeah, Baird's team's idea on how to partner with Clink on bottles, which the elementary schools haven't started recycling yet, but we're hoping eventually we'll move to as well, is an excellent idea. And yes, schools need cash.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the big news on the waste front. Anything else anyone wants to mention or ask about on that topic? Okay. So moving on, I'll mention sustainable CT just briefly. And thank you, Mark. I hadn't even been aware of the event that you shared about. So thanks for flagging that. Sustainable CT did have a fellow reach out a couple days ago. They've once again offered Simsbury some time for free, some time with a fellow that would be able to help us in our efforts either to become certified again through Sustainable CT, or potentially even if we do have other programs that we're looking for matching funding grants, things along those lines. So I am going to try and schedule a meeting with the fellow in the next week or so. Baird and Mark, I know you were both on copy. I'm not going to put any pressure on you because I know it's a busy time, but if you wanted to join, great. If you weren't available, that's fine too. I can report back. But at least to always keep on top of what exists through Sustainable CT that we as Simsbury could be taking advantage of, especially financially, or resources, human resources, connections that we might not be aware of. So.
Yeah, I actually met our fellow last night, and these people are they're really well trained. She's a student. I've forgotten. I met several fellows on that, but I forget where she's a student. But if there's a couple, if there's, I would encourage folks to go back over the action list. And if there's things that we think this would be interesting, we might need some help. They'll do a lot of the bird dogging and tracking stuff down. They're very well connected. So we might want to, so we were chatting last night. I said, we're not super active in Sustainable CT, but maybe we should just try to knock a couple things off while you're here this summer. So
exactly.
Everybody has an idea, it's a great program. And again, even if we're not gunning for gold, we can still avail ourselves of what they can offer.
And to your point on dock connecting, I think they're also a great resource in letting us know what best practice might look like in another town. And, if there's something that we're struggling with, they might have a similar district or town that has successfully navigated that challenge and could offer some examples for us. So, or some data if we're looking to say, well, what happens when you do XYZ? What's the likely outcome? They might say, oh, well, here is this town. They've already done that. And I can connect you with the person that has that data. All right. That's all I had for Sustainable CT, unless anyone else has any questions or comments. All right. That brings us to open forum.
I think we need another field trip. I think we need to go visit. I was just thinking, as I made a note here, because at the Sustainable at the fair, from the water treatment plant. And so I said, hey, we love field trips, this group. We'd love to have a field trip to your place and get a tour around. They said, absolutely, anytime. So, Chris, how do we make that happen? It's right here in town. Can you?
Tony's a great guy. If you just reach out to him, he'll gladly put it together.
I think that would be great, especially anyone else interested. We can get some times, everybody's around. It may be sometime in June before everybody heads off or what have you, and then go over there. So, okay, I will give him a call.
Yeah.
Can you forward me his number, or do you have it handy, or?
I can send it to you via
Send it
email.
to me, and I will call him, and then we can do some dates, possibly. How does everybody think? What does the group think about that?
I'd love to
Yeah.
go.
I'd go.
Yeah, I think that would be great to go visit. And you know what? It's a good time to go in the summer. We don't want to do this in the winter. So,
Agreed.
So that's it.
Just two quick things from me. Nancy Grandin just finished off the June newsletter, and so that's out. Hopefully, I sent it on to Chris, and hopefully it'll get onto all our websites and Facebook pages, and send it on to Jamie to get it on the Green Coalition Facebook page. But that just came out late last night. So that's one thing. And the second thing is just following up with our energy campaign, that on June 10th, there's going to be an activity, an online activity, to discuss. It's kind of nice. Chuck Brody, who's a local Simsbury resident, is going to be speaking about his experience in having solar plus storage. That should be on our website and Facebook page very soon as well. But that is really exciting that the person they chose, this is a multi-town Zoom opportunity. The person they chose is a Simsbury resident, and so hopefully he can inspire some of our local folk to go solar.
Nice.
Thank you for that. And yes, I will try and get them up shortly on the Green Coalition page. And I know, Chris, you've passed them along to the appropriate folks to get them onto the official Simsbury Sustainability Facebook page. Correct?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
They're going up tomorrow. They're all approved.
Perfect. Thanks.
And the Grange is having their fair on June 14.
Oh,
So,
yes, thank you.
so if you're in town, stop by and see them. Really is a great day.
Remember one year my kids won like $2 for baking cookies, and they thought it was the best thing on earth.
Yeah.
And
Always,
for Lego, building Legos.
always giving away seeds.
Love it. Anything else for open forum? All right. If not, do I have a move to adjourn?
Well, I hope to see you all Saturday with your hazardous waste. Load your car, truck, and bring over your cartons and boxes and everything. Good way to dispose of it. So, yes, I've told all my neighbors. I said, yes, go bring everything over there, and it doesn't go in the garbage. So, yeah. So I've been. Chris, you'd be very proud of me. I've been telling everybody on my walks. I said, bring all your things.
All your stuff.
All your stuff. Get it out of the garage, the basement, everywhere. Hope it's not.
There's likely to be a long line because it's a 3-town event.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But that's okay. You know what? So
One really small question on that. Do you take paint, or do you want paint to go to paint stores?
Is paint part of it?
I think paint is acceptable.
I think paint is.
So if you have latex, just in general, as a general comment, if you have latex paint, you just take the top off, dry it, let it dry, and you can dispose of that regularly. It's not a hazardous material. It's the oil-based paints
Like
that need to
varnishes
be
and shellacs.
that need to be managed.
Got it.
And those, I believe, are part of it. And there's also a company, I don't have it on this sheet. There's a flyer online on the website. And on that flyer, it talks about paint. There's a company nearby that takes paint recycling. So you can take it there as well.
I know that Benjamin Moore in Avon takes paint back.
Great. Anything else? And do I have a move to adjourn?
Adjourn. So moved.
Do I have a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Well, then thank you all very much. Enjoy the rest of your night.